What's going on, all you Facebook Live and YouTube Live fishing freaks? Thanks for joining this episode of On Another Line Live. JR and I have been digging through some crazy, wonky things going on with the PCs here. JR was trying to get connected, and my audio was doubling from him. So we're going to get started right after this short intro. We're going to talk about some jigs today, talking about the different types and what they are and how I use them. JR will join us in just a second. Without further ado, after this short intro, we'll get right into it.
Gotta get your arms way up in a cat and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. Gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loom is right. I bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck, give it a whirl. Hello and welcome to my world.
All right, welcome back again. If you guys are just now joining us, thank you for joining this episode of On Another Line Live. First and foremost, JR will be on in just a second. We've been having some crazy issues, so bear with us this evening. Got some crazy technical difficulties between my computer and his computer. So we're gonna have to mute my mic, mute his mic. He's restarting his computer right now as we speak. That's why he is not on here. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining this episode. We're gonna talk about some jigs. We're gonna talk about a lot of different things here. Hey, Kathleen, how you doing? What's up, Mark Hickey? What's going on, buddy? This episode brought to you by JB's Fish Sauce. You can check them out at jbsfishsauce.com. Use code OALL. That's not zero. That's On Another Line Live. OALL20 to save you some dough, 20% off. Going to save you the shipping probably. Definitely check out that 4-ounce mist in Pinch O Garlic. You know why? Because my name and logo is on it. That means I must believe in it, right? I do. Really, stuff really works. I think it gives me an advantage to catch fish that I can't normally catch. Couple of things I'm going to talk to you guys about. I do have some Amazon merch hitting the streets here very soon. And when I say very soon, they've been out there for quite a while. But I'll show you guys here. They are out there still available, and they're really nice shirts. So I'm going to share this one right here really quickly. The cool thing about this is comes in men's and women's. On another line on the front of it, nothing on the back. You can pretty much get this in a ton of different colors. Sizes from small all the way to 3X. I own one of these shirts, not the men's, obviously. I own the asphalt gray one. This logo is fairly large. It is that big on the shirt. I'm going to resize it on the next batch I make. I do have a new shirt coming out here in the next few days. Probably going to be tomorrow. That is going to be different. It's actually going to be an on another line shirt that has On Another Line on the where the sleeve would be, or where the pocket would be, and on the back it says I'd rather be fishing. So that will be coming up. Yeah, so that is a very good thought there, Michael. I will probably doing that very soon. It's just a lot of work to put that stuff on there. First and foremost, I will tell you, my YouTube channel is about to get an extreme overhaul. And what I mean by that is I am going to start posting a lot more videos on there, a lot more how-tos things, stuff like that. Within the next year, am planning and hoping to transition all the way off of Facebook with everything that I own, whether that be my personal page and this page that you're watching this on Facebook, as well as other things. Facebook has just become this like wasteland of bots, and there's like people that are like tagging us in a bunch of stuff, and it's not legit. It's just this big giant wasteland of things. So my goal is to transition everything to YouTube. One, the major factor there is the fact that I am getting paid on YouTube. I don't get paid for Facebook. It is a free platform. I get that, but I do make, a dollar a day or so on YouTube. So that's better than not making $1 a day. So I will start adding those outros for you so you can see what we're using or what I'm using. But it's one of the things, man. The reason I don't do that is I just don't think about it. When I'm out there fishing or whatever, I just don't think about having that opportunity to do that. So, I apologize for that. Let's see if I can add JR here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Sweet. I am no longer echoey.
Awesome.
Yep. So
I'm really technologically savvy. Let me just put that up front.
Yep. So while you were gone, I was telling the people here that I do have some stuff out on Amazon that's been out there for about 2 years now. Amazon has this really cool thing called Amazon Merch. And Amazon Merch is this thing where I can upload designs and have it choose, or I can choose what I want to put the logos on and things. JR and I were talking about creating a shirt there the other day that said I'd rather be fishing, which is me 100% of the time, usually, unless I am fishing. There's very few things on the planet that I would rather be doing than fishing, but there are some things. But I do have a new shirt coming out, and I don't think I can show you guys that because it's not processed yet. But yep, I definitely can't. But going to have a new shirt coming out tomorrow. Oh, wait a minute. I think it just went live. Yep. So I'll show you guys this. It's actually really, really pretty exciting because it literally, like, I clicked on it, it said processing, and then when I came back, it said live. So let's see. Let's show you guys that. I will put a link to this thing in the description below here in just a second. So first off, this is a hoodie. There's a long sleeve and a short sleeve. Dark gray, black. You can see here on the front of it, it says OnAnotherLine. On the back, I'd rather be fishing.
Oh, yeah.
So I will drop those links below. Here is a standard hoodie. Or, I'm sorry, standard shirt. So there is that. That's the standard shirt. Stop sharing that right there. This is a long sleeve shirt. The regular t-shirt comes in a ton more sizes, or ton more colors. There is the standard shirt, long sleeve shirt, and then the hoodie here. The hoodie's more expensive, obviously $40. I personally don't own a hoodie from this company. So what happens is we upload the stuff here to YouTube, or I'm sorry, to Amazon Merch. If you buy it, what happens is it gets made from Amazon. There's like a company out there somewhere that makes it. They ship it directly to your house. We never touch it. I never see it. So it's actually pretty cool stuff. And there is pro. That's hilarious. But if we all know I'm not a pro. If I was a pro, I could tell you what weights it was. It was either 3/16, half ounce, or 3/4. There's my fishing arsenal. All right, so I did drop those in the comments down there.
Yeah, I hope somebody's been out there fishing in the last week and actually caught something, because I went on a trip with my family up to the Reds game, and the Reds ended up blowing a 9-0 lead, and then I went to Kings Island the following day. So, didn't get a fish this weekend or the weekend before that because I was on call, but hopefully somebody can put me on a honey hole.
I went fishing this past weekend. You guys are going to see the video. Actually, when did I uploaded it today? But I think I set it to release on Thursday at 8 in the evening. Talking about fall baits, went to Yatesville on Sunday. I woke up, really didn't have a plan on going fishing. Took the dog out. I slept in. Sleeping in for me is like 8 o'clock in the morning. I normally can't sleep past that. I played a gig. I opened up for Love and Theft on Saturday. That was a great time, amazing time. Love and Theft, by the way, are amazing, dude. Like, they are so good as an acoustic duo. They put on a great show. I got home about, I think it was about 11 o'clock that evening. Had no plans of going fishing on Sunday. Got up, took the dog out, and it was like 60 degrees and overcast, little mist in the air. So I was like, heck with this. I'm going fishing. Went out there and absolutely got my rear end handed to me. But there's a video coming out on Thursday at 8 p.m. I won't ruin it for you.
Absolute donkeys on there.
Yeah, hammers. No, man, I've never fished rough river in my life. I think the KBN did they had 2 tournaments, I think, down there, and I think they're fishing Rough River again this weekend or something. I don't know. I've never fished Rough River. I hear it's pretty rough. Again, just a quick response, or before I take this, the banner off the bottom. Again, this episode brought to you by JB's Fish Sauce. They've been a proud supporter of, well, I think they're proud supporters of this. I'm a proud user of JB's Fish Sauce. I really think it does make a difference on baits. You see more and more pros using bait scents like bait fuel and things like that. I've been a huge fan of JB's Fish Sauce, one, because it's natural. It has actual fish oils in it. And I do have my own signature blend of it called Pinch O Garlic. You can check out that 4-ounce mist. It's my favorite application style. I do like the jellies as well. I feel like the jellies stay on the bait a little bit longer, but it is a little bit more messy to apply. I normally spray the mist outside of my boat, so if it hits the water, all the better. But it is kind of win-win for me. But I have both of those. You can check them out.
Yeah, we should spray it in a bag and use it that way. I bet that would be some strong stuff.
Yeah, so I talked to Corey about that not too long ago, and he said that, because I asked him if I could just like dump some of that in a bag of baits that I was going to be using. Like, for example, if I wanted to put JB's Fish Sauce on like some chunk crawls or something that I would be going to be using the next day. And he said that you could do that in the short term. Like, if you're going to use it the next day and we're going to use the whole bag of them or something, you could do that. But eventually the fish oil, I guess, breaks down the plastic because, I don't know what it is, but he said that, to refrain from doing that, but I would say you're probably right. Like, if you had a bag of baits, like normally if I go out and I'm going to plan on throwing a chunk crawl or something, I will at least use 5 or 6 of those things a day. Unless they're really hitting. If they're really biting it, I might use a dozen or 2 bags of them. In that case, then it wouldn't be a matter of just adding baits. But what you could do is, I guess, have a bag like you're talking about, like a Ziploc, throw 3 or 4 of them in it during the day, and you would have it there.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. Those chunk crawls definitely don't need anything extra. Good Lord.
No, come on, dude. They're not even that strong.
They are strong.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned vanilla. Vanilla is really cool because, like, I want to think about, like, this next summer, I'm definitely going to do this series on my YouTube channel. I'm going to do old school versus new school baits in like a week series, like where I go out every day, fish with one day, nothing but like old school baits. Like, I'm talking like a Kelly's or like a K&E worm or a purple worm, or doing a jitterbug or a buzz bait. I feel like is an old school bait versus new baits like whopper plopper for the topwater bait, or maybe a walking bait for something that was similar to the jitterbug. I have literally up here some super old baits. These are, this is an old Heddon. These were my grandfather's baits that were like passed down to me, and like these baits are so cool that like I really don't want to like go out and throw them. My camera will focus here, but this is bluegill.
Gosh.
You're talking about, you know, there we go. This bluegill bait right here is probably 70 years old. If I'm, you know, if I'm
Wow, man.
probably 70. Um, Made by a Head.
There's actually in Bassmaster they always have kind of somebody taking a picture and looking at the baits and saying how much it's worth and things like that. That would be cool. That's a good one to put on there.
Yeah, so this is a Head pumpkin seed.
How much does that weigh? Is it wood?
It's balsa, but it's fairly heavy, man. That thing probably weighs half ounce, I would say, probably more.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, but I really don't want to do that. But I could take these baits out and try to catch a fish. But you know, when I think about vanilla and stuff, like one of the things that like people back in the day used to swear by was anise, and
Yeah,
people
man.
still use it. There's still baits to this day made with anise.
All of the Guggen baits, for instance.
Yeah. What's up, Steven? How you doing, buddy? Keeping Casey in line up there in the West by God Virginia land. So anyway, guys, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for the support on the YouTube channel this past week. And again, I do want to say that I'm going to be putting out a lot more content over the next few months. My goal is 2 videos a week, and it may not be fishing videos because we're getting into that fall transition period into winter. It's going to get too cold to fish here. I do have a 4-day weekend here coming up very soon. It is the let's see. Well, it's not very soon. It's November, so this first Tuesday in November is election day. That's the 7th, and I have the Monday and Tuesday off. I'll have like 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th off. And if it's not like uber cold, I'm planning on trying to get down to my buddy Dusty's in South Carolina or North Carolina again, try to catch a fish down there. But I'm going to be trying to put out 2 videos a week, and it's going to be mostly tips videos throughout the winter, talking about baits and talking about stuff that I'm trying to get, or stuff that I plan on using. Again, we just landed a pro staff deal with Picasso this year, so we'll be getting a lot of their new baits. We're going to get together here in an order and send that in. You guys are going to see all that stuff coming very soon. So those types of videos are what you're going to see here. I'm going to be fishing obviously until I can't fish anymore. But obviously, like mid-November to December, it's really tough around here.
Yeah, if you guys have any baits that you suggest from Picasso, we're new to the pro staff, so we definitely want to try out all the good baits that they make. And if you got any suggestions for us, we'll pick them up and try them out.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I'm looking at with the old school versus new school baits. Is I want to try to get some of these old baits like this, and not even just super old baits like this. I'm just talking about like stuff that I still can get. Like for example, I like a jitterbug. I have one of those things. I wouldn't be afraid of using that thing. Because my biggest thing is I've said it for 100 years or however long I've been alive, 39 years, not 100 obviously, but I feel like that bass lures catch more fishermen than they do bass. Because here's why I say that, man. Some of my favorite lures on the planet when I was a kid growing up, one of them that absolutely strikes me right now is a 2-piece jointed Rapala floating lure. I'm telling you what, I've caught more bass on that lure than anything else in the planet. Matter of fact, I have 3 of them right now hanging on my bait rack in my garage. Why are they hanging there? I found 2 of them this past summer. The other one was just out of my tackle box. Will they catch fish? I guarantee it. You know how I know? Because I've caught so many fish on them. But do I throw them anymore? Sure don't.
Yeah, but looking at my grandpa's tackle box, I definitely see quite a few of those old school Rapalas and I love having them. It's like what you're saying. I can't stand to even throw them because I just love the fact that I have them and I knew that they're my grandpa's.
Yeah. What's up, Larry Slack? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I swear, what I was going to talk about today is jigs. Like, I feel like a jig is an old school bait. And I also
For
feel like that
sure.
there's like so many of them, man. That kind of brings me into one of the topics today. Why the heck are there so many jig types? And do you really need to use that many jig types? In my opinion, there are. I'm thinking of like right now. So you have a standard like casting jig, and you're going to have a football head jig, and you're going to have like the Picasso just came out with a jig called the wart head jig, which has like nodules on the head of the football head, which is going to cause that jig to kind of move when it hits things. You have tungsten versus lead. You have skipping jigs. You have swim jigs. You have now the new thing coming out is bladed jigs. I mean, will there ever be a stop to it? And which one's the best? And which one do you use? I don't know, JR. If you had to pick one jig for the rest of your life to use, what would it be?
For me, it'd definitely be a football jig. I've caught more bass on a football jig than any other jig. I know most people would probably say casting, but to me, a football jig around rock is pretty hard to beat.
A football jig.
Hmm.
So that's probably where I would go to. I like a lot of jigs. And again, throwing out Picasso's name because they're a new sponsor. They have a lot of cool jigs. Blue Rock Custom Tackle makes some really good finesse stuff. They have a lot of different cool jigs, man. They have a lot of good jigs out there. Matter of fact, if you go to Blue Rock Custom Tackle and you go to grab some more things from them, have no affiliation with this company at all. Jesse's just a buddy of mine. If you use the code Brandon Klein, who is another buddy of mine, you'll save yourself some money on those. But there's a couple of jigs that I would recommend you picking up from both of these companies, and we'll start with Blue Rock because we're
1099.
what is it?
The 1099.
Yeah, so the 1099 jig is that that's a very good jig. I like it's a more of a finesse style jig. They do have a Magnum version out. I think it's out now, or maybe it's coming out soon. But the 7/16 ounce 1099 is phenomenal. I really like that. They make them down really small. I think down to like 3/16 of an ounce. That was I think in conjunction with Whitney Stevens, who was helping design those things. And I think my favorite jig from Blue Rock is the triple threat jig. It's more of like a Ned style finesse bait. Think of a Ned rig with a hand tied skirt on it. I caught a lot of fish this spring with it. Spring and fall, in my opinion, are two times of the year where you're going to want to downsize your baits to get more bites. And I feel like that is a nice size for a compact jig.
Yeah, speaking of compact jigs too, I mean, I really like the tungsten jigs. To me, you just feel more, and I'd rather pay $1 more for a tungsten jig and feel more. Picasso's got some really nice ones that when we got this affiliation, I was excited about because I use a lot of jigs. They have a finesse bald headed jig that is called Little Spotty. I use that one a lot. The majority of their stuff has Gamakatsu hooks, which is also my favorite hook brand. And then their full size jigs are actually really nice. They have a different keeper than anybody else I've ever seen, and their keeper design is super interesting. It really helps prevent a lot of hangups that you get on a lot of standard jigs. It's not your standard plastic, as I recall. What is it? Titanium? Is that what they use?
You talking about for the
I
weed
think they
guards?
use the same weave garbs on like every single jig they have, and they're a lot
Yeah,
stiffer than the standard plastic ones.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I'm thinking you could probably see that too. But right now I'm on their website. This is the little spotty Jared was talking about. Does have the 2X strong Gamakatsu hooks. But right here is what he's talking about with these three titanium weed guards. They're kind of, are they spread out or are they like one on top of another? I can't really tell there.
They're spread out. Yeah, they're spread out kind of like a trident.
Nice. Kusa candy. This is going to be on a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
my. So I was like when you look at this looks like this is clear here, which it looks to be, but this right here looks like it's metal. Is that true?
It's the metal, and then the end of it has kind of like this plasticky feel to it. I think it's just so you don't, cut your hand when you're holding the jig, because
I
that
got you.
titanium wood could be really, really sharp.
Yep. So again, in the fall, this is definitely something you guys will want to come in to play, and that's taking up smaller. You're going to downsize your bait, in my opinion. This is the little spotty. If we go in here, let's just take a look at some of the jigs. Like let's look at the Warthead football jig, and right here is what I was talking about. Um,
Yeah, that's super interesting. I've never seen anything else like that. That's interesting.
yeah. So this was actually designed. We go back to
So,
Picasso Lures. Lonnie Cochran here, who is he's a pro guide down on the Gunnersville area or down around Smith Lake and places down there like that. But he designed this thing. He's also had a hand in designing the all of the shaky vibes. So the shaky head vibe and the there's three different ones there. I'll show you in just a second, but their jigs again, I really like that Warthead jig. But you can see here just from their website, there's a ton. This Kusa candy, man, that is like an ass. That's so good. But if you look here though, this has that plastic weed guard.
yeah, old school. Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean anything. I have a video, matter of fact, and I'll try to find it here, about how I took a do it mold and I modified it to accept a weed guard, and I did that because not a weed guard, but I'm sorry, a metal or a wire weed guard. And the reason I do that is because I just like the wires better. One, I feel like that, and I think it was G-Man, Gerald Swindle, was talking about it there a few years ago, how he has the same outlook that I do, that if you use a standard weed guard like those plastic ones over and over and over, they eventually get like worn out and they're very like spongy, and it causes you to get hung up a lot. So it's
definitely. You can cut those at an angle too if you bend it down to where the actual barb of the hook is, and it'll make them a little bit stiffer.
Yeah, but he was talking about that too, and I think that's probably true what you're saying. But I just like the wire. Right here's the video. I'm not going to play it, but it's called modifying a do it football jig mold to accept the wire weed guards. And it is it's been a pretty good deal for me as far as like building jigs. I really like the wired weed guards. That's what really kind of brought me to the Picasso side of things. As far as I know, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'll look here. I assume that these are tungsten as well. So some other jigs here. So let's look at some of these. So this is a football jig. This dock rocket, this is going to be like a skipping jig, stuff that you would want to, if you were skipping docks and you wanted this thing to have a really nice profile that would allow it to skip under things. That is one of the major things you have to take into consideration with head design on a jig from my thoughts. And that is what you plan on doing with it. The Dock Rocket versus Dock Rocket Pro. The difference here is you see the old school Dock Rocket has the old school wire weed guard in it, where the Dock Rocket here has the wire weed guards on it. Looks like that thing has 4 of those things on it. I like the
Yeah.
skirts. I also love the paint jobs on here, which is really cool, man. I really like them a lot. The recessed line tie here on this, causing your bait to not get hung up. But one
I
of
think
the
Hank Cherry designed those, didn't
um, Doc
he? I
Rocket,
think he did those Doc
yeah,
Rockets. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so if we were to drop back and look at the difference between that and like a swim jig. So a swim jig here, what's the difference between this and why is a swim jig necessary and what is it? Well, a swim jig is just a more hydrodynamic head, one that allows you to swim. I want you to think about this as a spinner bait without the blade. You're going to be reeling this thing. You're going to be keeping it up off the bottom. You're going to be bringing this thing through grass. You're going to be, again, this can be totally thought of like a spinnerbait without the blades. And I don't think I was showing my screen, so let's do this again.
Well, excellent for grass. I guess that's kind of the
There we
big
go.
moral of the story there for those guys.
For sure. Again, I just like I think the Picasso their head design on all their jigs, man, is just phenomenal. This thing looks like a real life bass land there, which is pretty cool. It does have the old school silicone or the plastic fiber weed guards. Some of the collars here. If I'm throwing a swim jig, I want it to imitate a bait fish of some sort. So this glimmer shad, I mean, that is.
Oh yeah, that looks so good.
I can't show you a larger photo because it takes me to. So the glimmer shad is really good. Tennessee shad looks sexy too. Molting crawl. There's a chartreuse.
Man, look at that purple one for the night fisherman down there. That was nice.
Yep. Tequila sunset.
Tequila sunset. Ah.
That
That little spotty has a really nice color too. It's like I forget the name of the color, but it has like a bright silver head, and it's real bait fishy. Like I can't ever remember seeing a jig that looked more, like a bait fish as opposed to just a bright white one. There it is right there.
Shad.
That ball, yeah.
Yep.
Their colors are just super, super cool. I mean, they've got more options than most people, and it's not just your straight up, oh, this is black and blue or this is a crawfish color. They've got actual bait fish colors and some more options.
Yeah, so a couple not really talked about baits, and this one is obviously the bladed jig, and you can't really call it, So if you think about calling it a chatterbait, you might want to check yourself because chatterbait is actually a trademark name from Z-Man. They own the rights to that name, so that's why you see a lot of these companies called different things. Like Picasso's called a Shock Blade Pro. And I was wondering, under the impression that nobody could make these blades, and actually, like you as a homemade bait maker, like I make a ton of my baits on my own, especially pouring lead and stuff like that. But if you have things like this and you attach a blade the exact same way that Z-Man does, you're actually breaking a copyright law that they have, which are a patent, which is pretty crazy. So.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding this year is the last year of that patent. So I'd say you're going to see 9,000 new companies coming out with this. But one of the things that you see here in this Picasso that they can actually do it is because they attach the blade to as a different way. There's no way. The way that they attach it is different. That's how they get away with it. I really like these things, man. Like, these collars right here, especially, I mean, look at that thing. Like we all have seen, the fire crawl chatterbait, you know what I mean, that everybody is so crazy for in the spring. They have two of them. They have this one here with the red blade, and they have a black blade, but they also have a new red one that I saw down here the other day. Right there it is. This one I feel like is more of the fire crawl deal, and this is Inferno with a black blade. Super good looking. I like that thing a lot. really cool. But one of the cool things that I saw the other day, and I'm trying to figure out where it would be. I'd probably have to go to the catalog to find it. Let me see if I can find it here. It's not under lure components, but
Yeah, their design on those shock blades seems definitely more similar to Berkeley Slobber Knocker as opposed to the Jackhammer or oh gosh, what's the other version that Strike King paid for?
the Thunder Cricket.
Thunder Cricket, yeah. It's a little bit different. I'm sure it gives a little bit different sound, especially using tungsten as opposed to using lead. That's another thing that's kind of attractive to me. I love fishing a chatterbait and bladed
Yep.
jig, excuse me.
So
And
go ahead, sorry.
and a different sound is a big deal.
Yeah, true story. So another couple things here that they have out for as far as jigs, shaky vibe. It is definitely a shaky head. It's exactly what it is. They have a circuit board material set up on the shaky head. I was skeptical at first that these things would have any kind of action to them at all. Dusty, my buddy who knows Lonnie Cochran, bought one at a tackle shop and brought it home to me. And I still have it to this day. Knock on wood. I'll probably lose it next time I go out, but I throw it a lot and I've caught some fish on it. If you go to the bigger sizes, they have a bigger like coffin style blade on them. But one of the cool things that they just come out with is a newer version of that, which is, it looks like, it's right here, the Wacky Vibe and the Jika Vibe. And these are, so the Jika Vibe, Jika rig is going to be kind of like a really short drop shot. And this Wacky Vibe right here, I'm really interested in this thing. I really, really, really want to get my hands on this thing because I really like they have a really small lightweight version. They have a 16th ounce. I normally throw a quarter ounce or actually 3/16 on my Wacky rig if I'm throwing weighted. But I want to get my hands on this because normally on a Wacky rig, when you throw a Wacky rig, the only action that it has really is when it's falling. This right here adds action on the retrieve as well as when it's falling, which is really intriguing to me.
Yeah, just something a little different. Also, they have some tungsten Ned rig jigs that look really nice.
Yeah, the rhino heads.
Mm-hmm. They've got some tungsten ones too. I think there's both. The rhino might be lead, and the other they might have pure tungsten on the other ones. I think.
Yep. So Corey Weaver in the house, man. Congratulations on the finish the other day. 6th, I think I've seen it was. And he says the Warthead does well, which is great, man. So I mentioned it before. Well, I think last week we were talking about it. When you look at Picasso's stuff, you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, wow, this is like more expensive than most other jigs. Like I can go to the tackle box or Borders and I can buy a jig for way cheaper than this. But one thing that that you have to take into consideration is this is a tungsten head more often than not, which is going to add a little bit of price to it. And you're getting quality stuff. One of the things that I saw that was in the catalog, I'm going to see if I can pull up the catalog. I know you guys are not seeing this. But there is a really cool thing that I saw the other day. It's right here. It's the all-terrain tackle or the all-terrain inline. So I'm going to share my screen here for you. And this is actually really, really daggone impressive for me.
That inline spinnerbait kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so like this is pretty daggone cool, man. Like, so they have one that has a skirt on it, which is the all-terrain inline, and then you have a weedless smartmouth inline, which the smartmouth is their swim bait heads, and man, they're sexy looking too. I can see this. Can you imagine like using this in grass and stuff like this? Has got to be just an absolute killer. Again, Hank Cherry and Lonnie Cochran both using their noggin to do that.
I think it'd be big right now. I mean, getting all the flash when all these bait fish are schooling up, I would think that fall would be perfect for it.
Yep. Another thing, just a quick shout out to another bait that I've been trying to use lately. And if you've never used it, Shimano, but Jackal has a riser bait. And the riser bait is pretty crazy the way it works. There's two different sizes of riser baits. And you're going to want to like use these things as you would any other topwater. When you look at it, it looks like a walking bait. This thing sinks like a freaking rock, man. This thing is heavy. You can cast this thing an absolute mile, but this is not your average topwater bait. This is, supposed to be worked fast on the surface of the water. And if you watch any kind of schooling fish, if you watch around those schooling fish, what happens to those bait fish that are not getting eaten? They're skipping all over the top of the water. Now, those fish are smart enough and their eyes are good enough to pick up on those bait that are on top of the water. And adding something that causing splash and motion in the water, like this riser bait, just absolutely got to get crushed. I actually have a couple of them. The Mirror Wagasaki right here is sexy looking. The Hollow Minnow is the one I have right now, and this RT Minnow. Those are really cool collars. Again, there are two different sizes of these. There's a 007 and a 009. The 009 is obviously a little larger. You can see this is 5/16. I want to think that the other one is 3/8 maybe. But this is a really cool bait to look at in the fall, especially if you have schooling fish. And that's one of the things that I always think about is when I look at my rod locker and I see that I have like 35 rods in there. Why do I have that many? And the fact of the matter is that it's because of this situation. If I want to have this riser bait tied on, knowing that this may only get bit maybe twice in a tournament, there has to be schooling fish. If you're just casting this thing around, you're probably not going to catch many fish. But if you cast that bait in the middle of a big schooling, feeding frenzy, you're absolutely going to get your arm broke.
Yeah, got to have it on the deck and ready. There's nothing like that, throwing into a big school and getting bit right off the bat.
That's right.
That reminds me of us at St. Clair.
Yeah. So another thing, speaking of which, I had a bunch of footage from Lake St. Clair. We were there in June?
Yeah.
I think. Went the end of June, caught a bunch of fish, had a great time. We had an absolute epic day on Lake St. Clair, man. Like we were catching fish in 14 foot of water on top water, which blew my mind. But we were catching the fire out of them, man. We had like 3 hours in the morning where it was just like every cast. I ended up catching one. It was like 5'10" on a spy bait. We were crushing them. I had, excuse me, I had 13 SD cards that were full of footage from the summer. And I'd just been slacking, putting them out. I'd been traveling all over the country, working all this stuff. And then I, just didn't have the want to or the time really to put the stuff out. I go down to my buddy Dusty's place again in South Carolina or North Carolina, and we go fishing. And I have these SD cards in my pocket because I always kept them with me in case I needed to change SD cards in my GoPro. And somewhere around the Sharon Harris Lake is I think there was 17 SD cards in a sandwich bag that are somewhere in Sharon Harris Lake. So that's not good. No good.
Yeah, maybe floating on top.
Yeah, so I found a Sharon Harris boating page on Facebook. It's the only thing I can find and posted on there. I was like, hey, I know this is a long shot. If you guys see like a sandwich bag, a Ziploc sandwich bag with like 20 SD cards in it, they're mine. And I would probably pay somebody a pretty good penny to get them back. That's so much footage on there. But
yeah, that was definitely the most fun I'd ever had fishing in my life. Like that mayflies were hatching actively. The smallmouth were coming up and just terrorizing those mayflies. You had your which one was that? That was the Duorealis.
Yeah.
And then I had a popper splash it. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I mean, I bet we caught 30 smallmouth in 3 hours.
And yeah, I wasn't throwing top water. He was. I was throwing a Duorealis spy bait, but
Yeah,
I was
the
just
king
keeping
of
it
the spy
local.
bait.
It's funny though because we stopped catching fish for a while. For I don't know when I say a while, I'm talking like 10 minutes. We just didn't get bit.
Yeah,
I was like, well,
had to wait 10 minutes.
yeah, I was like, well, maybe they're a little deeper. So I casted, this just random casted this Duorealis spy bait and let it sink like 3 or 4 seconds, which wouldn't have amounted to anything, 5 to 6, maybe 5 to 8 foot deep. And I'm reeling this thing in and just absolutely get crushed by 510. I was like, well, yeah, they're a little deeper. Good stuff.
Yeah. Then we decided to go look for some largemouth, and we had a pretty good time with them too.
Yeah, if you get to the point where the smallmouth aren't biting, there's some hammer largemouth in Lake St. Clair. Which
No
which
doubt.
reminds me, I'm kind of up in the air about what to do next year. I want to throw my name back into a hat as a co-angler in a series, BFL or otherwise. I've been wanting to fish the Toyota series for such a long time, man. But the Toyota series is so weird because you can't fish it as as a teacher for sure. I can promise you that because unless your school district is a lot more lenient than mine, um, all of these things, like if I look at the Northern Division, which is what I would fish, is the Potomac River, Lake Champlain, and St. Louis River. So we're talking about smallmouth, and the Potomac River is going to be probably mainly a largemouth fishery, but there's some absolute giants in there. It's going to be a tidal water there in Potomac. But these things are like 4 days long and they start on a Thursday. So like June 5th through the 7th, I could do July 11th through the 13th, and then it comes down to August 22nd through the 24th, which is going to be the St. Louis River. But that may be, it may be doable, but it's really crazy to think about that as a weekend angler trying to do that. But I can't figure out, what I want to do. I think this summer, I'm going to negate going to Lake St. Clair in June. I think my goal is to, between Misty and I, and probably Dusty and Terry Lee, instead of going north, is like making this little loop and going down towards Texas and coming back up and knocking some more of the states off my list. I'd like to go to Texas. Down south there, I'd have to hit like I already have Mississippi, but I could do like Louisiana or something like that, and then hit Texas, and then come back up with like I don't know, Arkansas or something that would be pretty cool. Aaron Strickland in the
Oh
house.
man, I would love to go down to Louisiana and Texas. OHIV, of course, is the big one down there. But there's where MLF did their swing down. Man, they absolutely caught some monsters down there and close to New Orleans, I think it is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, guys, we're about that 50-minute mark, so we're going to not take up any more of your evening this evening. But if you have any questions, make sure you drop them below. If you guys haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you went over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. I have a goal of 5,000 subscribers, and it's slowly picking up. Again, I will be putting out a lot more content as we go on. Yeah, man, like, I want to freaking go to
Caney, that's it. Yeah.
Good Lord. Like, it's crazy to watch those pros down there smashing those things. I'd love to have that opportunity, but I think that's what I'm going on. And I just realized that they changed the dates on this schedule for 2024. They just released these Potomac River June 5th through the 7th, Champlain July 11th through the 13th. I could make both of those tournaments. So that's pretty daggone cool. But I do know that the Toyota Series is way more expensive. I think it's $1,700 a tournament for boaters, and I think it's like
Golly.
I think it's $550 a tournament for co-anglers. You've been to Caney 20 times? That's pretty cool. We need to go, Aaron. Like let's go fishing sometime. Like wherever.
Share the knowledge you have gained.
Yeah, what's up, Fred? Man, I'm glad to see you on here. So anyway, well, I appreciate it. Again, you guys are going to see a lot more content coming out on the YouTube channel. We do have some things in the works. Obviously, partnering with Picasso. We are also, obviously, as you guys know. Oh, look at this. That is awesome. What's up, Matthew? How you doing, buddy? How's the school year going for you? The cool thing about this is that the tackle box, by the way, totally different situation. Tackle box is still open, 20% discount on everything in the store. NRX Plus rods for $450 plus tax. Guys, that is unheard of. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Greg Drown, if he hasn't already, has lost. I guarantee is probably going to get in trouble for this, but at this point, it's the end of his career. So I'm sure he's just trying to get some of the money back out of it. That's $200 under MSRP. That's about 30% discount right there, right off the top, which is crazy. Everything, he still has a lot of stock. Don't think that he's going out of business and there's still a bunch gone. I'd say probably a quarter of the stock is gone by now. But we are not going to stop giving you guys some deals and bringing you baits in the area. Should somebody buy the tackle box, we'll be working with them as well. But we are going to start working with Borders Sporting Goods in Summit, Kentucky, which will have some deals and stuff going on over there and bringing you some of the new stuff that's coming from there. So we're not out of the game by any means, and you'll see a lot more coming from us. Again, YouTube channel coming up soon. If you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would appreciate it more than you ever know. That's right, Matthew's regional championship. You're gonna bring that home. You're gonna bring that thing home. I can feel it in my gut. Be like, yep. Matthew Strickland, the man, about to show them guys how to fish. Man, I hope you kill it. Good luck, and everything is going well for you. But anyway, guys, it's about that 55-minute mark, so appreciate you guys sticking around with us. This episode of On Another Line, we are going to see, again, more stuff coming from us on YouTube. Going to be ordering some new jigs and stuff through Picasso this week, and we will get going at that point. So if you guys have any questions, hey, Eric, what's up, buddy? I have never went ice fishing. I would do it if there was ice around here to be stood on without falling through and dying. I would definitely on my bucket list. I'd like to go. But the fact that it doesn't get cold enough around here to ice fish really doesn't hurt my feelings that much. But like it gets cold enough around here that it sucks to be on the water, but it isn't cold enough to have ice in an ice shanty. Pretty daggone cool stuff. So anyway, with that being said, guys, check out the YouTube channel for new content. I have a new video coming out on Thursday at 8 p.m. I think Thursday at 8 p.m. My goal is 2 a week coming up, including this live video that you'll see. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would go over there and give that a like. Also, I have mentioned a second ago, I don't know. Let me see here. I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to search this because I don't know if you just search it. I told you guys I do have some new Amazon merch out.
Yeah, that sure might get me in trouble, man.
You can't search it right now. I mean, you probably can, but it's probably so deep you're not going to see it. But I did post the links in the chat to everything up there. So if you're seeing it on Facebook or on YouTube, if you're seeing this after the fact, you can go back up there and hit that. Just On Another Line logo on the shirt, and on the back it says I'd rather be fishing with a bass boat on it. Pretty cool stuff. But it gets shipped directly to your house from Amazon. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, you should be able to get it in a couple days. With that being said, guys, appreciate you guys sticking around for this episode of On Another Line Live. If you guys can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.
Have a good one, guys.